What's up, everybody? Before I begin today, I just want to let everybody know that we received a copy of Star Renegades for review from Raw Fury and Massive Damage Games, so thanks for the opportunity to play and review this game. In the last 10 years, indie developers have created many ways for us to experience the art of video games. One of the genres that have helped define the indie scene are no doubt roguelikes. You probably have experienced some of these titles that have become classics like Rogue Legacy and Enter the Gungeon. After playing a good amount of these games, most recently Risk of Rain 2 and Rad, I've come to realize that what makes a roguelike successful to me is the unique feeling that it gives you within the parameters of that genre. And the game that we are reviewing today, Star Renegades, succeeds in my eyes because it fuses that genre and a genre I love, turn-based RPGs, all while making it feel fresh and new. When you begin Star Renegades, you start off with a beautiful hand-drawn animation, and it got me really excited for this game. Unfortunately, that is short-lived, but it is followed by the actual art style of this game, and it is this beautiful 2DX pixel animation, and I thought it was gorgeous. Kind of like Octopath Traveler, this game takes a 2D art style and then applies 3D depth to it, and it's something that I just couldn't stop looking at. This game runs on procedurally generated maps, and it really surprised me that I actually really loved all the environments that I was in, and paired with the music, I thought that the setting of the game was perfect. It was like this lo-fi, sci-fi type of setting, and I was really into it. And when I was in combat, I loved watching how every turn played out because I really thought the animations for every character, every move was so handcrafted, and it looked great. The art direction is a big key in this game. Having said that, I did think that there were some character models that were very generic sci-fi. One character in particular that I just kept calling Star-Lord guy. But the main character that we seen hand-drawn at the beginning of the game very much reminds me of Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, and I loved her character design, and there's some other characters that you unlock down the road that also have some really great character designs. And really, most of those characters that I like most have great combat animation, so let's get into the combat. Playing this game is a big jump for someone that plays a lot of roguelikes, and it could be an even bigger jump for someone that plays turn-based RPGs like myself. And that's really because our ragtag crew has a really flashy combat system, but there is a lot to learn, especially in the first hour or two. They really jam a lot of tutorials in there, a lot of things that you have to learn, a lot of things that you could easily forget, and it could really screw you up if you continue playing this game. That's probably due to the fact that you have like 4 different meters to watch, and there's a lot of terminology that it throws at you really quickly. Each character has its own health, shield, armor, and that's accompanied by a real-time combat bar, which shows you how to crit, stagger, and counter your enemy. Now that sounds like a lot, and it's because that was at first. That was a lot to learn. Most RPGs you play kind of give you pieces of the combat through multiple fights, to where Star Renegades really just gives you all the tutorials within 1 or 2 fights, and it's screen after screen after screen of pages of text, and you have to just read them all and just try to retain everything that this game's giving you. But once you learn how to really play this game and fight in the combat, the flow is amazing. You start to really strategize, and this is a game that is pretty challenging and you have to defend. A lot of games, a lot of turn-based RPGs, you could really make it through a lot of the game without defending, really shielding yourself, but this game really makes you learn and makes you strategically think of how to defeat this enemy. And when you're managing your team trying to figure out how to beat the boss, the behemoth of the area, it can get really addictive just wanting to do run after run after run. And the combat in Star Renegades is why you play this game. But if I'm being really honest, I think my favorite part of the game is the team management. Let's get into that. When you camp in Star Renegades, you really get to connect all your teammates together and start to buff them in certain ways and give them abilities or heal them. And when I say you get to buff your team during camping, that's because there is a card collecting aspect in Star Renegades. You could accumulate these cards by either leveling up your characters or finding them around the map. And then once you've collected these cards, you get to camp and use these cards to build relationships and bonds between your characters. And this is really when the game starts to feel rewarding in my eyes. I'm always striving to try to receive the best cards for my run. I'm always trying to build the best relationships between my playable characters. And to be honest, one of the things in procedurally generated games that I tend to don't like is that the maps just don't seem rewarding. But in Star Renegades, the card drops that allow you to build those relationships really mean a lot, and they could take you from dying the first behemoth to getting all the way to the end. And another thing that card collecting mechanic really elevates in this game is the dialogue at camp. I've said a lot of great things about Star Renegades, but one thing that this game misses on is the writing. Now, this is a roguelike, and I don't play roguelikes for a story, but there is like camp banter, there's relationship banter, and some of it is good, but for the majority of the camp banter, I could just care less, and it's all very forgettable. And even though there isn't much story in this game, the roguelike elements do lend itself to the plot of the game, and that's because aliens are invading every universe, but also every dimension, every reality, and every time you die, you're pretty much passing along the torch to the other reality, and hopefully that reality can stop the alien invasion. It gives you really great live, die, repeat vibes in my opinion, especially with the way that the main character Win looks, but the plot does wear thin. Another thing that I thought the game could improve on was the music. Earlier I said I really enjoyed the environments, and I did, and it had a really great lo-fi type of sci-fi soundtrack to the game. But there's certain areas where I really wanted more from the music, especially in combat. For the combat being so good, I really thought that there would be better combat music. The music and the sounds really put me into the environment of Star Renegades, but I really wanted that song to hit and really have it peak to where I was like, wow, this is amazing, this is top notch, and it really felt through a lot of the combat and a lot of the boss battles that the music could be way more hype. As far as progression through the game, there's a lot of things to unlock. You have a good amount of characters, and then you have a bunch of variants. I want to say there's like 12 to 14 characters, and there's like maybe like over 30 variants. I'm not too sure on that. I didn't unlock everything, but there's a good amount of characters and a good amount of unlocks to this game. A lot of features that really get you far, and you really do have to die a bunch of times, get points, run as many runs as you can, and the game really does feel rewarding, and I really did enjoy that aspect. I like getting new characters. I like getting new weapon sets that will spawn in the world when I play, and I like really earning a lot of points and unlocking that feature that really changes the game, like 50% armor upgrade when I camp, and those types of things are really aspects that I enjoyed and I thought the game did well. And one thing that I did really enjoy is that as you got farther in the game, you actually had more playable characters and more people in your crew. And I really like that because I like that aspect when I'm playing turn-based RPGs. So the fact that that was actually a reward got me really hyped. And once I realized that for the first time, I was like, oh, I wonder if I keep beating bosses, my crew will get bigger, and it did. Star Renegades is one of those games that I seen and I was like, wow, these are two genres that I love. I can't wait to see what Massive Damage brings next. But I think if you have played roguelikes, or if you have played turn-based RPGs, you have dabbled in the two, and this is something that you think you would like, you should definitely experience it, because it's probably going to be one of those games that you end up spending a lot of time in. I know I'm already like 15 to 16 hours into this game, and that's kind of a lot for me for roguelikes. I'm usually like in and out of roguelikes, but this one has really kept its hooks in me. The combat and art style will keep you replaying runs for hours on end. And even though this game doesn't do everything perfect, it leaves a huge area of opportunity for games like this to exist. I'm happy to give this game an 8.25 because I really do think this game is great. If you've played and enjoyed any games in these genres, Star Renegades is worth checking out. I really appreciate you guys being here today. If you like this review, this is a big review for us, so please let me know, like, share, subscribe. It would mean a lot, okay? Geeks World out.